Nary. Ta caught her as she fell. The spear had struck deep. Instead of blood, a glowing blue sap flowed from her wound. Her fine hair dimmed, changing from vibrant green to a dull gray. "The heart," she whispered. "Take me to the heart." Ta lifted her and carried her to the heart tree. The rebel Kea stood frozen, shocked by what their leader had done. "Open," Ta commanded the tree. "She's dying." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the bark split apart, revealing the inner chamber once more. Ta carried Nary inside, followed by his crew and some of the Kea, including the remorseful Yuna. Inside, the chamber was different. The walls pulsed with uneven light. The root throne was cracked. The air shimmered with conflicting images, as if two minds fought for control. "Put her there," a voice said. It was the Sung consciousness, though weaker now. Tai placed Nary gently on the root throne. The sealing vines lowered, touching her wound. "Can you save her?" Tai asked. "Perhaps, but we need help." The Sung voice faded in and out. "The jungle mind fights us. Too strong." Tai turned to the others. "We need to help the Sung win this fight." "How?" Dai asked. Jaiho stepped forward. "The metal." Han said metal blocks the jungle's connection. If we could place metal at key points, maybe we could weaken the jungle consciousness without hurting the Sung. "Yes," the Sung voice agreed. "The connection nodes. Outside. Quickly." Han nodded. "I know where they are, but we'll need all our metal." Everyone gave their metal bands, knives, and any other metal they had. Todd kept only a small piece for himself. "Jaiho, son, stay here with Nary," Tai ordered. "Everyone else, follow Han." They rushed out of the heart tree. Han led them to large root structures that emerged from the ground around the heart tree. Each pulsed with the same light as the inner chamber. "These are the connection nodes," Han explained. "They link the jungle consciousness to the heart." They placed metal pieces on each node. As they did, the lights dimmed and the wild movements of the plants around them slowed. Back inside the heart tree, Ta found Nary still on the throne. Her condition hadn't improved. The vines connected to her seemed to be trying to heal her, but the wound was too severe. "It's working," Jaiho reported. "The Sung are gaining control." The shimmering air above Nary solidified into the clear form of a Sung, a being with bark-like skin and branch-like limbs, but with kind eyes that looked almost human. "We are grateful," it said in a stronger voice. "The jungle mind is contained now, not destroyed, but balanced." "What about Nary?" Tai asked. The Sung looked sad. "Her body is too damaged, but her mind could be saved." "How?" "She could join us in the heart, become part of the Sung consciousness." Ta looked at Nary. Her eyes were closed, her breathing shallow. "Would she still be herself?" he asked. "Yes and no. She would be part of us, but her unique thoughts would remain." Ta knelt beside her. "Nary, did you hear that? Can you still hear me?" Her eyes opened slightly. "Yes, Captain." Her voice was barely audible. "I choose this, to join them, to help guide a new way." Tears filled Ta's eyes. "You saved my life. And you saved us all." Her hand weakly squeezed his. "Don't be sad. I will still be here, part of something greater." The Sung spoke again. "We offer you a choice too, humans. Stay and help us rebuild, or return to your people." Ta looked at his crew. "Our mission was to explore, to make contact with new life. I'd say we've done that. We need to report back," Jaiho said. "Others should know about the Sung." The Sung nodded. "We understand. Your ship is repaired, and we have prepared a gift, genetic samples freely given, and data on our science." "Thank you," Ta said. "We'll send others, peaceful contact this time. We will welcome them." The Sung turned to the Kea who had gathered in the chamber. "And you Our children. What do you choose? Yuna stepped forward. We will stay. Learn from you. Find our own path. Outside, the jungle had stopped its violent changes. A new harmony was spreading through the plants and animals. Ta looked one last time at Neri. Her form was beginning to glow, merging with the light of the sun. Goodbye, he whispered. Not goodbye, her voice came, already sounding different, more like the sun. Just a new beginning. As Tai and his crew prepared to leave, the heart tree gifted them each a small seed. Plant these on your world, the Sung/Nari voice said. They will grow into trees that can communicate with us across the stars. Ta carefully pocketed his seed. The jungle no longer takes, he said. No, came the answer. Now it gives. The ship fell through the sky like a burning rock. Inside, Captain Tai held tight to his chair as alarms screamed around him. Everyone braced for impact. He shouted to his 3 crew members. The small exploration ship Seeker had been mapping the edge of known space when something pulled them off course. Now they were crashing on an unknown planet, thick with jungle as far as they could see. Jaiho, the science officer, worked quickly at her screen. Captain, the planet isn't in our charts. Atmosphere is breathable, but I'm getting strange energy readings from the plant life. Security Chief Dai checked his weapon. I don't like this, Captain. Medical Officer Sun grabbed her emergency kit as the ship hit the trees. Metal screamed against wood. The crew was thrown around like toys as the ship tore through the canopy. With a final crash, everything went dark. Captain Todd woke up with a pounding head. Warm, sweet-smelling air filled his lungs. He was no longer in the ship. Instead, he lay on soft moss in a clearing surrounded by tall trees with glowing blue leaves. He sat up quickly, wincing at the pain. Jiho. Da. Sun. He called out. No answer came back. The jungle around him was unlike anything he had seen before. Plants moved slightly even though there was no wind. Flowers turned toward him like they were watching. Strange bird calls echoed through the trees, and the air felt thick with moisture and life. Tai checked his gear. His communicator was broken. His emergency beacon was missing. He still had his knife and a small water filter. Your friends are safe, for now, a soft voice said from behind him. Ta spun around, knife ready. Then he froze. Standing at the edge of the clearing was the most beautiful and strange woman he had ever seen. She was tall and slender with skin that shimmered like pearls in the sunlight. Her hair moved like living vines, changing color from green to purple as it shifted. Her eyes were large and completely silver, with no pupils. She wore only a wrap of what looked like living leaves around her body. Who are you? Tai asked, keeping his knife up. What happened to my crew? The woman stepped closer. Plants seemed to bend toward her as she walked. I am Neri of the Kea. Your vessel broke through our sky barrier. The jungle has scattered your people. I need to find them, Ta said, getting to his feet. Neri smiled, showing teeth that were slightly pointed. The jungle doesn't give up what it takes so easily. Your ship has been claimed. Claimed? What does that mean? Ta felt a chill despite the warm air. The jungle is alive in ways your kind cannot understand. It thinks, it chooses, it evolves. Nari moved closer still, and Ta noticed small patterns on her skin that glowed faintly. And it has chosen you, Captain Ta. How do you know my name? He asked, stepping back. The jungle knows all who enter it, just as it knows you are the leader, the strongest of your group. Her silver eyes studied him with interest. The others will serve their purpose with their assigned kaya. But you have been given to me. Ta gripped his knife tighter. I haven't been given to anyone. Take me to my crew now. Neri laughed, a sound like wind through crystal. Your human rules don't exist here. Only the jungle's law matters. She reached out, her fingers nearly touching his face. I have watched many species come and go on this world, but humans, you are something special. What do you want? Tai asked, feeling trapped despite the open clearing. The jungle requires evolution to survive. New genetic material. New adaptations. Nari's eyes flashed. It's quite simple, Captain. Be my mate, or the jungle takes you. Ta felt the ground shift slightly beneath his feet. Around the clearing, flowers turned to face him, their centers pulsing with light. Vines moved across the ground like snakes. "And my crew?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. They faced the same choice with their assigned kaya. Nari pointed to the trees where lights of different colors glowed in the distance. "The jungle is patient, Captain Ta, but it does not take rejection well." Ta looked at the living forest around him. Somehow, he needed to find his crew and escape this planet. But first, he needed to buy time. "I need to think about this," he said carefully. Neri smiled, her vine-like hair swirling around her shoulders. "Of course. The jungle gives you until the next moonrise to decide." She turned to leave, then looked back with her silver eyes. "Choose wisely, Captain. Those who refuse often wish they hadn't." Neri led Ta to a large clearing with a pool of glowing blue water at its center. 3 paths led into the clearing from different directions. The sky above showed the first of the planet's 2 moons rising. "Your friends will come soon," Neri said. "I will wait at the edge of the clearing." As she walked away, Ta quickly checked his surroundings. The water in the pool moved in strange patterns, as if something was swimming just below the surface. The trees around the clearing all bent inward, their glowing leaves creating an eerie light. A rustling sound came from one of the paths. Ta turned to see Jai-Ho enter the clearing. Behind her walked a male kaya with golden-brown vine hair. "Captain." Jai-Ho rushed to him. Her uniform was torn, and she had scratches on her arms. "Are you okay?" Tai asked, keeping his voice low. "Yes. June has been decent to me." She glanced at the kaya male, who stayed back near the path. "But this place, Captain. The plants are all connected. They move, they listen. I know. Where are Da and Sun?" As if answering, Sun emerged from another path. A female kaya with silver-blue hair followed her at a distance. Sun looked tired but unhurt. "Captain Tai," she said with relief. "I was worried we wouldn't see each other again." "Sun, what have you learned about these kaya?" Tai asked. Sun spoke quickly and quietly. "They're plant-animal hybrids. Their bodies contain both chlorophyll and normal cells. They need both sunlight and food to live, and their minds seem connected to the jungle somehow." The third path rustled, and Day appeared. He had a deep cut on his forehead. His kaya guide, a fierce-looking female with red-tinted hair, watched him closely. "Captain," Dai nodded. "These plant people aren't friendly. Yuna here tried to force the issue before explaining the choices. Have they all told you the same story? About mating or being absorbed?" Tai asked. They all nodded. "Jai-Ho, is our ship salvageable?" Tai asked. "No, Captain. It's completely overtaken by plants now. But," she lowered her voice even more, "I noticed something about their communication. When the kaya talk to the jungle, they emit a specific electromagnetic frequency. I could detect it with my scanner." Tay's eyes widened slightly. "Could we copy it?" "Maybe. I saved the pattern." Jai-Ho patted her pocket where her small science tool was hidden. Ta nodded. "Son, what about weaknesses?" "They avoid certain minerals. When I touched Kaya Min with my metal bracelet, she pulled back in pain." Sun whispered. "Da, security assessment." Tai asked. "The jungle is watching us right now," Daz said. "Small flying creatures in the trees. And I think the water has eyes too." Tay took a deep breath. "Here's what we do. We play for time. Pretend we're considering their offer. Ji-Ho, see if you can modify our communicators to mimic their frequency. Sun, collect any metals you can find. Day, map the area around your clearing. Look for any place the jungle seems thinner." "What are you planning, Captain?" Sun asked. "The jungle is one being. That means it has one brain, or at least a central system. if we can find it. Time is up. Nari's voice came from behind them. The other Kaya had also moved closer. You have talked. Now each must choose. Tay turned to face her. We need more time to consider such an important choice. Nari's silver eyes narrowed. The jungle grows impatient. Just until the second moon rises, Ta suggested, pointing to the horizon where the larger moon was just appearing. A choice made in haste might be regretted. The 4Ks seemed to go still, their eyes unfocused. They were communicating with the jungle, Tay realized. The jungle agrees, Nari finally said, until the second moon reaches its peak. Then you must choose or be taken. Thank you. Ta bowed slightly. May we stay together until then, to support each other in this difficult time. Again, the stillness as they communicated with the jungle. No, Nari said. Each returns with their Kaya. As Ta's crew was led away on separate paths, he caught Jaiho's eye and tapped his communicator subtly. She nodded slightly before disappearing into the jungle. Nari approached him, her fine hair changing to a deep red color. The jungle thinks you are planning something, Captain Ta. Ta kept his face calm. I'm just considering my options carefully. For your sake, I hope so, Nari said. Come, we return to my dwelling. As they walked away, Ta glanced back at the glowing pool. For just a moment, he thought he saw a human face looking up at him from beneath the surface. Han spread an old hand-drawn map on the cave floor. The others gathered around to look at it. The jungle wasn't always like this, Han explained. This planet once had a people called the Sung. They built great cities and studied the stars. What happened to them? Ta asked. A star exploded near their world. Bad radiation was coming. Han pointed to strange symbols on his map. These are Sung ruins I found. Their writing tells the story. Jaiho studied the map closely. They couldn't leave the planet. No, they had no ships that could travel far enough. Han's face was grim. So they did something desperate. They put their minds into the plants. They became the jungle. Sun asked, her eyes wide. Han nodded. Yes. The Sung scientists found a way to move their consciousness into the planet's plant life. They thought it would be temporary, but once inside, they couldn't separate again. And the Kaya? Dai asked. The jungle made them later, Han said. It needed a way to interact with visitors, to get new genetic material. Tai thought about this. So the jungle is actually the trapped minds of an ancient civilization. Yes, but after thousands of years, those minds have changed. Han pointed to the center of his map. Here is the heart of the jungle. A huge tree-like structure that goes deep underground. Inside are the memory cores of the original Sung. That's where we need to go, Ta said. The blue-skinned alien spoke up. Many have tried. None have returned. The jungle defends its heart fiercely, Han agreed. And we'd need a Kaya guide to get through the inner defenses. Nari, Ta said. You said she questions the jungle. Han looked unsure. It's risky. She helps in small ways, but this would be direct rebellion. Suddenly, a commotion came from the cave entrance. A Kaya with bright green hair stumbled in. It was June, who had been assigned to Jaiho. They're coming, he gasped. Nari found your trail, Captain Ta. She's leading the others here. Day pulled out his knife. We need to run. No, Ta said. This might be our chance. He turned to June. Why are you helping us? June's vine hair curled tightly against his head, a sign of distress. The jungle is wrong. It takes too much. It wasn't always like this. The original Sung wanted harmony, not domination. A voice called from outside the cave. Captain Ta, come out, please. It was Nari. Ta looked at his crew, then at Han. Let me talk to her, alone. It could be a trap, Dai warned. I don't think so, Ta said. He walked to the cave entrance. Outside, Neri stood alone. Her fine hair was dull and limp, a sign of sadness or stress. "You found the resistors," she said quietly. "Yes, and I know the truth now about the song." Ta stepped closer to her. "Why didn't you tell me?" "It is forbidden." Neri looked down. "The jungle doesn't want visitors to know it was once people. It fears they would try to free the trapped minds." "Can they be freed?" Ta asked. Neri's eyes met his. "I don't know, but the jungle is changing, Captain. It has forgotten what it once was. The sun wanted to preserve life, not control it." "Help us, Neri," Ta said. "Help us reach the heart. If I do, the jungle will know. It will see me as a traitor." Fear showed clearly on her face. "You already are, in its eyes," Ta said gently. "You've been helping Han and the others in small ways. You've questioned the jungle's methods." Neri's vine hair began to change color, moving from dull brown to a determined green. "There is a way to the heart, a path only Kaya know. But we must leave now. When the second moon is highest, the jungle is most active." Ta called back into the cave. "She'll help us. We're going to the heart." Han and the others emerged cautiously. June stepped forward to stand with Neri. "We'll need the other Kaya who question," June said. "Yuna and Min will help too." "And we'll need to move quickly," Neri added. "The jungle knows something is wrong. It's already searching." As if to confirm her words, a distant sound echoed through the forest, a low, rumbling growl that seemed to come from the ground itself. "What was that?" Sun asked, her voice shaking. "The jungle is waking its guardians," Neri said. "Ancient creatures it keeps for defense. We must hurry." Todd looked at his crew, at Han's resistors, and at the two brave Kaya. "Lead the way. It's time to have a talk with the Sung." Neri and June led the group through the jungle at a quick pace. They took hidden paths that seemed to appear and disappear as they walked. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit grew louder, crashing vegetation and strange animal cries. "The Guardians are tracking us," Neri said. "We must move faster." As they ran, Ta noticed something strange. The metal bands they wore from Han seemed to make the plants move away slightly. It gave him an idea. "Han," he called while running. "Why does the jungle fear metal?" "The Sung were plant people in the end," Han explained between breaths. "Metal blocks their connection, their shared mind." Tai thought about this. "So if we had enough metal, we could shield ourselves completely." "Yes, but we'd need a lot. More than we have." They stopped at a small stream to drink. Tai gathered his crew while the Kaya kept watch. "The jungle wants human DNA because we're adaptable, right?" Tai asked Jio. "Yes, Captain. Our genes show high diversity and quick changes to new environments." "That's our advantage," Ta said. "We adapt faster than it can. If we reach the heart, I think we can negotiate instead of fight." "Negotiate?" Da looked doubtful. "With a plant." "With the minds inside it," Ta corrected. "The original Sung. They were scientists, explorers like us. They might listen to reason." Sun nodded. "Han said they wanted harmony before. Maybe we can remind them." A loud roar cut through the jungle. "Much closer now." "We need to move," Nari called. "The guardian beasts are coming." They continued their journey, moving deeper into the jungle. The plants grew larger and stranger here. Giant flowers with teeth snapped at them. Vines with eyes watched their passage. "We're getting close to the inner zone," Nari explained. "Few outsiders have seen this place." The jungle opened into a wide valley. At its center stood the largest tree Tai had ever seen. It was wider than a building and stretched high above the canopy. Its bark glowed with patterns that looked like circuits or writing. Around it, strange structures grew, half plant, half building, that must have been the remains of Sung civilization. "There," Nari pointed, "the heart tree. Inside is the core of the jungle's consciousness." Suddenly, the ground shook. From between the trees emerged a massive creature. It looked like a mix of plant and animal, a huge four-legged beast with bark-like skin and vines for a mane. Its eyes glowed green, and its mouth was full of thorn-like teeth. "Guardian," Jun shouted. "Run." The group scattered as the beast charged. Two more guardians appeared from other directions, cutting off their escape routes. "We're surrounded," Dai called out. Tad looked at the metal band on his wrist, then at the heart tree. "Everyone, get behind me." He stepped forward, holding his metal band high. "Listen to me, jungle. Listen to me, Sung. We are not your enemies." The guardians paused, as if confused. The plants around them swayed, even though there was no wind. "You want our DNA, our adaptability," Ta continued. "There's a better way than forcing us to mate or be absorbed." The heart tree's glow pulsed brighter. The patterns on its bark changed rapidly. "It's listening," Neri whispered in amazement. "Humans share knowledge freely," Ta called out. "We could help you evolve without taking our bodies or minds. A trade, our genetic science for our freedom." The guardians growled but didn't advance. The jungle seemed to be considering his words. Neri stepped forward to stand beside Ta. "The old Sung valued learning and exchange," she said to the heart tree. "Not taking by force. Remember who you were." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the bark of the great tree began to part, revealing an opening. "It's inviting us in," Jaho said quietly. Ta looked at his crew, then at Neri. "Is it safe?" "I don't know," she admitted. "No one has been invited into the heart before." The guardian beasts backed away, creating a clear path to the tree. "Captain?" Sun asked. Tai took a deep breath. "Sometimes being human means taking the risk. Let's go meet the Sung." With Neri at his side, Ta walked toward the opening in the heart tree. As they approached, tendrils of glowing light reached out from inside. "It wants to communicate," Neri said. "These are thought strands." Tai reached out his hand. "Then let's talk." Inside the heart tree was a chamber that seemed bigger than the tree itself. The walls pulsed with blue-green light. Thin, glowing vines hung from the ceiling. The floor was smooth, like polished wood. Ta, Nari, and the rest of the group stepped inside carefully. The opening in the bark closed behind them. "Look at these patterns," Jaiho said, pointing to the walls. "They're like brain circuits." In the center of the chamber stood a raised platform. On it was a thing that looked like a throne made of twisted roots. Sitting on the throne was nothing, but the air above it shimmered. "What now?" Dai asked, heaping his hand on his knife. As if answering, the glowing vines from the ceiling began to move. One reached for Ta, another for Neri. "Don't fight it," Neri said. "This is how the Sung communicate." Ta held still as a vine touched his forehead. Suddenly, his mind filled with images and feelings not his own. Ancient cities, strange people with bark-like skin, stars exploding, fear, a desperate plan, pain of transformation. Then darkness, confusion, hunger for growth. "I see them," Ta gasped. "The original Sung. They're still here, but trapped." Neri's eyes were closed as her vine hair connected with the ceiling vines. "Yes, the original minds are buried deep." The jungle consciousness grew around them, changed their purpose. The vines pulled back. The air above the root throne shimmered more strongly. Slowly, a form appeared, a being that looked partly like the Sung in Tai's vision, and partly like a tree. Its voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Why have you come to the Hayard, humans? Why do you resist the natural order?" Ta stepped forward. "The order you've created isn't natural. It's built on taking without asking. Taking is the way of life. All life takes." "Not all," Tai countered. "Humans learn to share, to trade. We give and take with fairness." Images flashed around the chamber, ships crashing, people running. Kaya hunting them down. Your kind is be invaluable. Your adaptability strange ends us. Jiho moved to stand beside Ta. But you're getting less than you could. Forced DNA can only give you limited benefits. Sun joined them. If you worked with us instead of taking from us, we could share much more knowledge. About genes, about adaptation, about growth. The shimmering figure seemed to consider this. The lights in the chamber pulsed faster. Wait UUPROPOZ, humans. Ta looked at his crew, then at Nari and the other helpful Kaya. First, free the minds you've taken. Let people choose to stay or go. Impossible. They are part of USNO. Not all of them, Han spoke up. I've heard them. Some still have their own thoughts. Ta continued. Second, no more crashing ships. If you want contact with other species, we can help establish proper communication. What would we gain? Willing genetic samples, Sun explained. Medical knowledge from many worlds. Ways to adapt without losing yourselves. And third, Ta said firmly, the Kaya must be free to choose their own path. They'd grown beyond their original purpose. The chamber went silent. The lights dimmed. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, deep within the tree, something shifted. The air filled with whispers, thousands of voices speaking at once. The original Sung were awakening. They're fighting for control, Nari whispered. The original minds against the jungle consciousness. The shimmering figure above the throne changed, becoming more clearly Sung-like. When it spoke again, its voice was different, older, calmer. We remember. We were scientists, explorers, like you. Yes, Ta said. You wanted to preserve life, not control it. The jungle grew beyond us, changed our purpose. The figure's light flickered. But your words remind us. The walls of the chamber began to show images, genetic structures, ship designs, communication systems. We offer exchange, the Sung voice said. Knowledge for knowledge. Freedom for those not fully absorbed. Partnership with those who wish to stay. Tai felt hope rising. And the Kaya. They are our children. But children grow up. They may choose. Nari's eyes filled with tears. Her vine hair glowed with bright colors. Thank you. The figure turned to Ta. Your ship, we will help repair. Your knowledge, we will learn from, not take. And those you've already taken? Tai asked. Some can be restored. Others are too far gone. But all will be given choice. The chamber began to shake. Cracks appeared in the walls. What's happening? Dai shouted. The jungle is changing, Nari explained, reshaping itself as the original Sung reassert control. The shimmering figure stood. Go now. Return in 3 days. By then, the change will be complete. The bark door opened again. Outside, the jungle was shifting, plants moving, colors changing. Back at Nari's dwelling, Tai sat quietly, pretending to think about his choice. In truth, he was watching how Nari interacted with the plants around her. Sometimes her fingers would touch a leaf, and the plant would pulse with light. Other times, her vine hair would connect with hanging vines from the trees. You have questions, Nari said, breaking the silence. I feel your mind working. Nari nodded. Many ships have fallen to our world. And all who came had only 2 choices, to mate or be taken by the jungle. Something flickered across Nari's face. Doubt. Fear. Ta couldn't tell. Those are the choices the jungle gives, she said carefully. Tai leaned forward. But did all visitors accept those choices? Nari turned away. I must gather food. The second moon will rise soon. Use this time to decide wisely. Once she left, Tai quickly pulled out his communicator. Jiho had sent a weak signal. He pressed it against his ear to hear her whispered message. Captain, I modified the communicator. It blocks the jungle's listening. Meet at the crashed ship if you can get away. Ta looked at the thick jungle around him. Getting away wouldn't be easy, but with Nari gone, this was his chance. He slipped out of the dwelling and into the trees. Almost immediately, vines began to move toward him. Remembering what Sun had said, Ta pulled out his metal knife. The vines recoiled when he waved it at them. Guided by his broken nav system, Ta moved toward where their ship had crashed. The jungle grew denser, trying to block his path. Flying creatures with glowing eyes buzzed around his head. He kept moving, slashing at anything that came too close. After a tense hour, Ta reached a small hill. At the top stood the broken remains of the Seeker. Vines and strange flowers had already covered most of it. As he approached, a hand reached out from behind a tree and pulled him into the shadows. "Quiet, Captain," whispered a voice he didn't recognize. A man stood before him. He was human, but his skin had a slight green tint. His clothes were made of woven leaves and bark. His eyes were alert and wary. "I'm Han," the man said. "Your science officer found me. Come quickly." Han led Ta through a hidden path to a cave entrance covered by hanging vines. Inside, Ta found his crew waiting with 4 other beings. 2 looked human, while the others were clearly alien. One with blue skin and gills, another with 4 arms and reptilian features. "Captain," Jeho rushed to him. "This is Han. He's been here for 20 Earth years. And these are others who refused the jungle's choices." Han nodded. "We call ourselves the Resistance. We've found ways to hide from the jungle's awareness." "How?" Tai asked. Han pointed to metal bands they all wore on their wrists. "These block the jungle's sensing, and this cave has special minerals that shield us." "The Kaya don't know about you?" Tai asked. "Some do, but they don't tell the jungle," Han explained. "Not all Kaya agree with the jungle's methods. Some have even helped us." Sun stepped forward. "Han has told us something important, Captain. The jungle doesn't just want genetic material. It wants minds too. The people who were taken aren't dead. Their consciousness lives on in the jungle. It's a prison of minds," Han said grimly. "Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds, all trapped as part of the jungle's collective. I've heard them sometimes, whispering through the leaves." "That face I saw in the pool," Ta murmured. Han nodded. "Yes, the absorbed ones can sometimes show themselves in water or reflective surfaces." "How do we escape?" Dai asked. "We can't fix your ship," Han said. "But there's another way. The jungle has a heart, a central brain deep underground. If we can reach it, we might be able to communicate with it directly, make a deal. Or shut it down," Dai suggested. Han shook his head. "Kill the jungle and we kill everyone trapped inside it, including some of my friends." Ta looked at the strange group of survivors. "How long have you been hiding?" "Some of us for decades," Han replied. "Living on the edge, always hiding." "And the Kea who helped you?" Tai asked. Han's expression softened. "Some Kea develop real feelings. They're made to attract mates, but they can grow beyond their programming. Like Nari." Tai stared at him. "Nari, she's helped you. She doesn't know I'm telling you this, but yes, she's questioned the jungle more than most. That's why you were assigned to her." The second moon's light began to shine through the cave entrance. "Time's running out," Jeho said. "The Kaya will be looking for us." Han handed each of them a metal band. "Wear these. They'll help hide you from the jungle. Now we need a plan to reach the heart." Ta put on the band, feeling the strange tingling as it touched his skin. "First, tell me everything you know about this jungle. What it wants, how it thinks, and most importantly, what it fears." The 3 days of waiting were not peaceful. As the original Sung minds fought for control, the jungle became unstable. Some parts turned brown and died. Others grew wild and dangerous. The guardian beasts roamed freely, confused by the changing commands. Tai and his crew stayed with Han's resistance group in their cave. Nari, June, and a few other Kea who had joined their side brought news each day. Not all Kea accept the change, Nari told them on the second day. Many fear what will happen if the jungle's control weakens. What about the people trapped in the jungle? Tai asked. Some are being released, Nari said. But it's difficult. The oldest ones are too deeply connected. That night, as they slept, a loud explosion woke them. The cave shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. What was that? Sun cried out. June rushed in. Rebel Kea. They've attacked the heart tree with burning sap from the fire plants. Why would they do that? Jaiho asked. They're afraid, Nari explained. For generations, the jungle has given them purpose. Without it, what are they? Ta looked at his crew. We need to help protect the heart tree. If the original Sung lose control now, things could get worse. They gathered whatever weapons they could and left the cave. Outside, the jungle was in chaos. Plants fought plants. Guardian beasts attacked each other. In the distance, the heart tree glowed red instead of its usual blue-green. As they ran toward it, a group of Kea blocked their path. Their leader was a female with blood-red vine hair. It was Yuna, who had once been assigned to Da. Stop, she commanded. The humans have caused enough damage. The Sung are fixing what went wrong, Tai argued. This change is good for everyone. Good? Yuna sneered. The jungle made us. It protects us. Without its guidance, we are nothing. More rebel Kea appeared from the trees. They carried spears made from hardened wood. We can't fight them all, Da muttered. Nari stepped forward. Sisters, brothers, listen. I've connected with the original Sung. They don't want to destroy the jungle or us. They'd want to make it better. Lies, Yuna spat. The humans have poisoned your mind. No, came a new voice. An old male Kea with white fine hair stepped out from the trees. It was Min, who had been assigned to Sun. Nari speaks truth. I am old enough to remember when the jungle began to change, when it forgot its purpose. Some of the rebel Kea looked uncertain. The jungle doesn't have to control us to protect us, Min continued. The Sung want us to be more than just tools. They want us to be their children, free to grow. A loud cracking sound came from the direction of the heart tree. The ground shook again. We don't have time for this, Ta said. The heart tree is under attack. Min raised his hands. Those who wish to see the truth, follow us to the heart. Those who fear change, stay here, but do not block our path. The rebel Kea looked at each other. Slowly, most of them stepped aside. A few, including Yuna, joined their group. I still don't trust humans, Yuna told Ta, but I will see this truth for myself. They hurried toward the heart tree. When they reached it, they found more rebel Kea throwing burning sap at its trunk. The tree's bark was blackened in many places. Stop, Nari shouted. You're killing the Sung. The attackers turned. Their leader was a large male Kea with black vine hair. That's the point, he growled. Better to kill the old minds than lose the jungle's guidance. There's another way, Ta said. He turned to Nari. Can you connect me to the Sung again? Nari nodded. She placed her hands on the damaged bark of the heart tree. Her vine hair extended, connecting with the glowing patterns. She reached for Ta's hand. This will be dangerous, she warned. The Sung are fighting for control. Their thoughts may overwhelm you. I need to help them, Ta said. They listened to me before. Tai took Nari's hand. Immediately, his mind filled with chaos. Thousands of voices screaming, fighting. The jungle's newer consciousness battled against the original Sung minds. Through the noise, Tai tried to form clear thoughts. Unity, not control. Partnership, not domination. Choose a better way together. The rebel Kea leader raised his spear to throw at Ta. But before he could, Nari stepped between them. The spear struck her chest. After Nari left, Tai searched the area around the clearing. The jungle seemed to watch his every move. Flowers turned to follow him. Vines moved away from his path, then closed behind him. I need to find the others, he said to himself. He picked the direction of the closest colored light Neri had pointed to. As he walked, the plants around him whispered, not with wind, but with actual sounds like quiet voices. The jungle grew thicker as he moved forward. Soon, he had to cut vines with his knife. Each cut made a soft crying sound that made his skin crawl. After an hour of walking, Tada found a small shelter made of bent trees and large leaves. Neri sat inside, waiting for him. "How did you?" he began. "The jungle brings all paths to me," she said with a smile. "You cannot find your friends without my help." Tada sat down across from her, keeping distance between them. "Then help me. First, you must understand." Neri's silver eyes glowed in the dim light. "This world is not like yours. The jungle is one being, one mind. We Kaya are its voice and hands. You're saying the entire jungle is alive. As one thing?" Tai asked. Neri nodded. "Long ago, it was simple plants. Then it grew, connected, learned. Now it thinks and plans." She touched a nearby vine, which curled around her finger like a pet. "It needs new life, new code, to grow stronger." "Code? You mean DNA?" "Yes. The jungle takes the best parts from visitors to improve itself." Neri leaned forward. "Those who fight are absorbed fully. Those who join with us give only part of themselves through mating. Their children become part of the jungle's plan." Tay thought quickly. "How many others like me have come here? Many ships have fallen from the sky. Many species have joined with the Kaya." Her hair vines changed color to a deep purple. "Humans are rare, special. Your kind adapts quickly. The jungle wants this power." "And my crew, where are they?" Tai asked. "The female Jaiho is with Kaya Jun. The strong male Da is with Kaya Yuna. The healer Sun is with Kaya Min." Nari pointed in different directions. "Each has received the same choice you have." Tai needed more time. "Tell me more about the Kaya. Are you born or made?" Nari seemed pleased by his interest. "We are the jungle's children, made from its core to interact with visitors." She held out her arm, showing how her skin could become almost clear, revealing plant-like structures beneath. "We are part plant, part animal, all jungle." "And what happens if I agree to be your mate?" Tai asked carefully. "You would stay with me until a child grows. Then you would be free to leave with your crew if they also choose to mate." She smiled. "Many choose to stay. Life is simple here. The jungle provides all needs." "And if I say no?" Nari's smile faded. "Then the jungle takes you. Your body and mind join with it forever. Your memories and DNA become part of the greater whole." Ta nodded slowly. "I see. And there are no other options." "There are always other paths," Neri said, "but the jungle finds them all." A plan began to form in Ta's mind. "I need to see my crew before I decide." Neri studied him. "The jungle does not usually allow this. How can I make such an important choice without speaking to my people first?" Tai argued. "What if they've already decided differently? I'm their captain. I need to know." Neri was quiet for a long moment. The vines around her moved faster, as if agitated. "The jungle agrees," she said finally. "One meeting before the next moonrise. Then you must choose." Tai tried not to show his relief. "Thank you. I will take you to where they will gather," Neri said, standing. "But know this, Captain Ta. The jungle senses lies. It knows your thoughts even when I do not." Ta nodded, keeping his face calm. "I understand." As they walked through the living forest, Ta noticed small flying creatures watching them from the trees. They had the same shimmer to their skin as Neri. Small jungle spies, he guessed. The path ahead opened by itself, plants moving aside to create a route. Ta followed Nari deeper into the jungle's heart, searching for any weakness he could use to save his crew and escape this beautiful, deadly world.